Well, hello everybody. Thanks for dropping by, watching this video. I'm back out here for more punishment on Lake Simcoe off of Sybil Point. The walkout wasn't too bad. There's some snow drifts because of this wind that's been ongoing, and it just piles the snow into drifts. So there'll be random spots where you have about 6 inches of snow and then glare ice beside it. Usually you can find tracks from a machine and walk along that and you should be okay. But once I drill the hole, I use my scoop bar. It's a 24-inch bar and it's almost to the top. So I'd say we have about 24 inches of ice now. It's made another couple inches since last week. And really, I don't think we hit 24 inches of ice last year. So good year for ice. I'm on really nice black ice. So the morning's been slow and tough as usual. I'm out a little bit further this time. I like the bottom here. I got nice rocks, little boulders throughout. I've seen gobies down there, so the bait is here. And it's just a matter of calling them in. Again, when you're fishing these flats, you really have to try your hardest to bring them in. That's why I'll have a spoon, or I've actually switched to a lipless crankbait. Make a little bit of noise a little higher up in the water column and then bring it back down. So now that I haven't seen any fish for a little while, I've had a couple of requests in the comments and talking to people online about how to work these baits. Now, even though I'm not catching them right now, these baits do work and they do require a bit of technique. So with some downtime now, I'm going to show you how I work the Meegs. So there it is. That's my bottom lure. As I come down, you'll see a little white dot. That's a little grub I have on a high hook, a number 2 hook. And that's about 15 inches up from the Meegs. That way if I'm on bottom, just tapping, that high hook is a little bit off bottom in case the fish wants to go for it rather than pick the bait up off the bottom. Now the proper way to fish is to keep that Meegs about 2 feet off bottom, and when you see a fish come on your sonar, drop the bait to bottom and just tap it ever so lightly. You just want the head of the bait to tap the bottom, make a little bit of dust, and the white fish should come in and suck it up off bottom. With this lure, it's a slack bite, so you don't want your line to have slack in it. You just want the rod tip to bounce as it hits bottom. And when you do feel slack, that's when the fish has sucked it in its mouth, and that's when you set the hook. I'd say the Meegs is the hardest bait to learn how to use, but once you've got it, you're set. Just because it's a unique technique. Unique technique. Unique technique. That's a good one. But if you're able to feel that just bounce on bottom, you'll see your rod tip just stop. That's when it's on bottom, and bounce it up ever so gently. So that's the hardest part of this technique, is just watching the rod tip and bouncing it that ½ inch up and down, just to put the nose of the lure into the silt, while the hook and the tail that you have on the lure are going to dance on a 45-degree angle, and that's what the fish is going to suck up off bottom. That's it to the technique. Now most of the time you're going to have the rod up, and when you see that mark come up on your screen, that's when you find bottom. Again, you keep your bait a couple feet off the bottom. You'll see a mark on your sonar or camera, and then drop it to the bottom. And when that fish comes in on screen, you just want to tap the bottom with that lure. That's going to imitate a goby. Now if you haven't seen fish for a while, you can do this and stir up a little bit of dust, make a little cloud. Fish will sometimes see that from afar and swim over to investigate. So I would make that little dust cloud, get it going as best as you can, and then bring your lure back up on top of that. So on this second line now, so as I pan over, this is my second line with a lipless crankbait on it. Yes, it's a big bait, but it rattles and it kind of glides when you let it back down, swims around. Nice somewhat natural movement to it. Between the movement and the rattle of this jig, hopefully it calls in fish. Unless the fish comes in and I can tell it wants to eat off bottom, I don't drop this lure. I'll keep this a foot or two off bottom, and if I haven't seen fish in a long time, I'll bring it right up, almost halfway up in the column, jig it like some bait swimming around, and then bring it back down to that 2-foot mark. And yes, I haven't caught anything this year doing this, but this is my technique through the years. It has worked multiple times. Actually, a lot of the whitefish I've caught are on a lipless crankbait. And like I said, I don't normally lay it on bottom, but if you can tell the fish wants to eat off bottom, it's going down with the bait. I've caught them off bottom with a lipless crank. Anything is possible when they're hungry. But for me right now, it's a matter of calling them in. The plus side of having a big bait on like this is if a lake trout comes in and looks at it, just start reeling as fast as you can and watch your sonar and watch the fish come up. That's how lake trout eat lures. So again, that's how I work these baits. It's worked for me for years. This year's been tough, but I'm still going to use my same techniques and go through my lures and just tweak it a bit, just trial and error. I hate the wind. So the winds have picked up. That means I'm going to pick up. I've had it for today. Just a quick little video for you. I hope it helps. I hope you stay safe, happy, and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.